We're developing bilateral pressing, horizontal pressing with bench press, with dumbbells. We're doing all those things. But how do I, as an accessory movement, something that's we've already built purpose strength, max strength on a bench press with dumbbells, covered all spectrums of rep ranges between hypertrophy and strength. But how do I connect the dots with life?
Driving off that back foot, posting that right glute, driving forward. Posterior stability is anterior power, really locking down the backside of that body. We can't shoot a cannon from a rowboat, so really trying to be as rigid as possible as we drive all of that force forward.
You know, typically you're always in a position where your back is supported.
Yes.
That's how I'm building my tension, is off a fixed object. Well, how do you move a truck?
Not on a fixed object.
No, like I have to create it. Well, how do I do it?
Rooting that front foot down into the ground, staying as tight as possible, down through the ground, driving off. We're not letting any of this weight take us backwards. We're locking everything down, driving away. Push. Root through the ground, push. Through the ground, push. Money.
And how do I connect the dots with bringing tension up from the floor and getting someone off of me or moving something? And that exercise, I think, does all of that.
I would agree. Really love that, just connecting all the dots, building that connection to the floor, and then controlling my posture all the way through. If I start to relax that right glute, I don't have my heel firmly cemented into the ground. The whole thing becomes really unstable. But for me, it's a really good option, connecting all the dots.
A little bit of a setup, but well worth it.
Well worth it, 100%. Love it. Pretty much in the stance that we shoot from. Now I just lean forward a little bit more. That press is the exact same way, but now if I drop the weight and I really blow through it, like you remember some of the old training stuff, Adam Archuleta, they do like...
You don't forget that stuff.
225, let it go, and then catch you on the rebound. Like,
Yes.
Really shock that central nervous system. I feel I could get a lot of that out of that movement. By launching that thing off as far as I can, now I can't let it move me back a singular inch. I've got to drive that rear heel into the earth, and I've got to be able to meet it with resistance to that feathered approach. It's not knocking me off my center line. Like, I own my center line. This is where I'm fixed in space. I'm creating my own tension, and now I'm getting that thing off me at lightning speed. And now we add bands to it. It's such a different animal. When people look at it, they're like, oh, that's kind of like a jammer press. Nope. Not a jammer press. Jammer presses move equidistant. This thing can move. If you have asymmetry in your arms, you will notice it, dude. If you do not control that thing on the way back, you are going to notice it. If you don't have good contact with that rear heel on the earth, you're going to notice it. There's no cheating it. And that's what I say it to my 11-year-old all the time. You can't cheat it. You can't cheat that. You cannot do it. I see Brian Shaw and these guys, these big standing presses. I love it. But that's just a vertical bench press. That's all it is. What if I don't have anything to put my back against? What if I just have to make it up? Like, we used to do that at Monster Mashers all the time. Like, we'd push a truck for a mile as a team. Well, how do you get it started? They'd start on a hill. You lean into it just 1 inch at a time, get the momentum, and just keep it going. You're in that same position. Same thing there. I've got to create my own stability.
When I think about that exercise, I think about the metaphor of you can't shoot a cannon from a rowboat.
Yes.
Posterior stability is anterior power. The more stable you can be on the backside, the more power you can push forward. And the best advice I can give to coaches is watch other coaches coach. Hearing you talk on the range about creating tension and being stable, and even when you're talking about which tool you use, your lower body and everything's the exact same. You're creating force from the ground. You have a foot behind you. You're an athlete. You're ready to do something athletic. And watching you instruct and manage recoil and talk to others, it's like, oh, that's why we should do movements like this. Because like you said, we want to do max strength, max power, because with our back supported, because we'll be able to do more weight. Duh. If we're trying to influence tissue, what's the best way we can do that? By having support and then doing it. No different than a supported row. If I have my row or my chest supported on a row and I'm doing it, I'm going to be able to do more than if I did a bent over row without support. My body has to do more things. But having those layers of movement in, I think help connect the dots with reality.
100%. We say it all the time, like, done a bunch of different things in my military career. I've never climbed over a compound wall and seen a bench press there before you make entry.
Exactly.
Like Rudy Bosch, an old Team 2 guy from Vietnam, he used to always say that. He's like, I did 300 missions in Vietnam, never saw one set of fucking monkey bars. It's like, it's the truth. Like, in reality, like, there's things you train that hopefully prep you for reality, but aren't inside of your reality. A bench press is one of those things. Like, do you need to be strong at upper body, for sure. To me, that translates really, really well. Like, get really strong as a bench press. Now you can just maximize this lift even more, but this thing puts it in context for reality. There's no bench press in reality.
Mm-hmm.
You got to generate the power from the floor. So you and me are fighting. You push me up against the wall. My rear heel hits that wall. You're coming off me. Like, now you're fucked. Like, now I'm planted. Now I can really generate you off there.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't have that, if I don't know how to build that tension, I just keep walking backwards. You put my head over my heels, and I'm on my ass. It happens quick.
When we've had people come in and live with us, I love when we are on a day where we get to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because they'll bench with us, because that's always our first big movement, most movement, big movement. And then we get to that second or third and we do something like that, and you see them do it and they're like, yeah, and they press. And when it comes back on them, you see their body weight moving, like, whoa. Like, oh, there's no bench, buddy.
No. Nope.
You do this.
Yeah.
You do this right now. And then it takes some reps to figure out, hey, how are you doing this? Where are you creating tension from? And it's like, you don't realize how much you rely on that bench until you don't have a bench.
Then the exact same thing, you flip me on the other side of it. Now I'm doing a row with no support, but now I have band resistance. It's the exact same thing. I'm ripping it off the floor, and if I don't understand how to lower my center of gravity in that feathered approach, it's going to rip me forward.
Yep.
So now I get it on both sides of it, and I love that connection. Like, that is the reality. Like, it's tug of war against a tiger right now. Like, I've got to be able to drop my weight and control this thing right now. It's going to rip me off my feet.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times in reality, we only get one attempt. It's not a mulligan. I'm not going to get one warm-up and then a real one. I've got to be able to do it on the first attempt. And I think put in those weird precarious positions, it translates to your reality. Like, have I ever done it before? No, but I've done something eerily similar. I
Yeah.
did the same with Vernon in the gym. Same thing,
Yeah.
right? It's like,
Confidence.
yeah, dude, like, have I done that exact thing? No, but I've got a 95% solution I know will work. That's why a lot of times, like, we'll do the one with the sled drags and the TRXs with the bands. Like, I've never done that before. I just applied the exact same feathered approach we do on the TRX, on that row, to that. It's the same thing. I've got to be able to explode, drop my center of gravity, meet the weight on its way out, stop it, redirect it, stop and redirect. It's that feathered approach. But if I never would have done that, I mean, I'm not going to say my first rep was the most beautiful, but it was pretty close off first attempt. It's like, I've got a file folder. It's pretty close to it, man. Inside of my reality. I've been training for my reality. And that's why I love stuff. It makes sense. And when guys do it, especially guys that live in, I'm not even say a tactical athlete, I'll say a practical athlete. They see it and they're like, oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. Like, it makes sense, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to train for your reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful exercise.